Welcome to Cardboard Chemistry. I'm your host, MTG Labman, and today we're finishing off our Secrets of Strixhaven favorite card series with favorite colorless and land cards. It's going to be a shorter episode today. If my scheduling works, this should be coming out on the day of Secrets of Strixhaven pre-release, so feel free to go back and listen to all of the Secrets of Strixhaven episodes and, get yourself prepared for the set mechanics, Elder Dragons, and some of the cards that you'll see throughout pre-release if you guys are attending. Going to start off with the Dawning Archaic, 10 mana, 7/7 legendary creature avatar. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. It has reach. And then whenever the Dawning Archaic attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Really cool. You're probably not going to be running this in a colorless deck. I wouldn't recommend this being a face commander for a deck. There aren't that many colorless instants and sorceries. Where I can really see this shine is Lorehold. Probably going to have this in a white-red deck, just because that cares about casting things from your graveyard and having things leave your graveyard for exile. So running this whenever you attack, you can cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard without paying its mana cost, and then it's basically flashback, because as soon as you cast it from your graveyard, you exile it, it's gone. So real cool card, very interesting. There's only one other colorless card I want to talk about that really piqued my interest. It's from the Quandrix commander deck, and it's Brass Infiniscope. Four colorless for an artifact that you can tap and add 2 colorless to your mana pool. And it says when you next cast a spell with X in its mana cost this turn, you draw a card and gain half X life rounded down. You're playing a lot of big X spells. The new Zimone face commander for the precon reduces your first X spell by her power. So you could, even if X is 4, draw a card and gain 2 life when you tap this to add the mana. This is gonna gain some chunks of life, especially if you have ways to reduce. If you get Zimone up and she's really, really big, I mean, you're talking like, say you get her up to 21 for lethal commander damage. Your first X spell is going to cost, the value of X is going to cost 20 less. And then you tap this, that's 22, and then you pay whatever into X, you're going to draw a card and gain 11 life. Just for doing what your deck does. It seems like it's going to be a powerful card, especially in X spell decks. You can run this in Zaxara. You can run it in the experience counter deck where it costs less and run X spells in that deck. Moving on to lands. Going to cover one land, and then I'm going to cover the Turbulent series of lands. The one land I do want to cover is Petrified Hamlet. When this land enters, choose a land card name. Activated abilities of sources with that chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Lands with the chosen name have tap, add 1 colorless, and then you can tap to add a colorless. So if you're shutting down lands that do additional things, you know, you can shut down your opponent's more utility lands, and I think it's just fun to have the shutdown card caring about lands on a land card. It's just a new way to bring it into the space and work with that. And then finally, I'm going to cover the turbulent lands. These come in the commander precons. So you have one turbulent land for each color pairing. So you have a Golgari one, or Witherbloom, Orzhov / Silver Quill one, Izzet / Prismari, Lorehold / Boros, and Simic / Quandrix land. They all have this land enters tapped unless your opponents control 8 or more lands. All right, these are built for the commander product. So normal game of commander, you have 3 opponents. So your opponents, 2 of your opponents need to control 3 lands, and 1 of your opponents need to control 2 lands in order for this to come into play untapped. Not a huge thing. It might be a little bit of a hindrance in early game, but turn 1 you play this. If you don't have a turn 1 play, it enters tapped. You're not losing anything. But as it gets further into the game, as the game progresses, you can easily drop this and not have to worry about it entering the battlefield tapped, and that applies to all of the lands. Just another dual land. And I think it's good to see different ways to bring in more dual lands as the sets go on, as the things that you can duel with dual lands can changes. I think it's good to see. Hey, now we're recognizing, we've had as long as you have 2 or more opponents, this enters untapped. Now it's as long as your opponents control X lands, it enters untapped. It's just more ways, and to bring a little bit more diversity and a little bit more dual mana options to the commander format. And that being said, that's all of the cards I wanted to cover for Secrets of Strixhaven. Please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your favorite cards are from Secrets of Strixhaven. Let me know if you guys are attending the pre-release. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care of yourselves.